Let's talk about Michigan versus Maryland now. We'll go to college football. They obviously just absolutely annihilated Maryland 59-18. Pretty much the third and fourth guys back got to see the field.
Yeah, it was cool.
So that was kind of nice to see some of the maybe future pieces. There's probably some that they were going to risk having like Elijah Pierre. He's a grad student, so I thought we'd see a little bit more of him. But he and like maybe 10 other people that traveled with the team did not see the field. Matt Torrey getting some love on the block punt. Been there for all those years and walk on. It's always nice to see those guys get the spot. Will Roll Up had a nice catch from Alan Bowman. So getting 4 quarterbacks in there, that's nice to see. I don't know. I like just everything. They dominated defense, dominated special teams. Their offense was really strong. Obviously it's Maryland, so nothing to write home about in that aspect. But what did you like about that game?
I mean, a lot of people looked at this game as a potential trap game, just because it's coming before the Ohio State game. And they just took care of business and went out there and just smoked him, smacked him in the mouth. My biggest take was Donovan Edwards, obviously. 10 catches, 170 yards, most yards ever for a Michigan running back. That is more receiving yards in that game than any Michigan running back under Jim Harbaugh has had in a single season.
Yeah, I saw that stat. I was actually that was awesome.
It's awesome and sad.
Because didn't he have Christian McCaffrey?
Well, not Christian McCaffrey. Well, no, he never had McCaffrey. That was David Shaw.
Oh.
But this is just at Michigan. He had Chris Evans.
That's right.
So, yeah. So pretty good. Also, I could say it's not good before that because they didn't throw the ball to running backs. But anyway, beside the point, he showed what he can do. He looks like he's finally healthy because I know he's banged up for a little bit there. Obviously, they didn't run the ball a ton with him, which is fine. Only 3 carries, but obviously 10 receptions. 20 more carries for Hassan Haskins. They sat him down after, 1 drive or 2 drives in the third quarter. Probably good to keep him healthy. Blake Corum dressed, didn't play.
Same with Jamon Green also.
Same with Jamon Green. Yeah, they both traveled, dressed, didn't play. Probably a good sign. Probably a good sign.
Well, I preferred that even if they were a little, even if they were 90%.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. Save it for the Ohio State game.
Jamon Green, I'm less worried about. He doesn't need to play in order for that team to beat.
DJ Turner's been on the up.
I don't think he changes the defense necessarily, but it's always going to have more DBs against Ohio State. So the only bad thing is it sounds like Brad Hawkins got hurt because he only played 5 snaps. It sounds like he'll be okay. Ballas thinks he's going to play. It should be fine. So
that's relief. Yeah. Rod Moore is again. We talked.
Were good. I mean, they had some issues, but Maryland scores.
And that could be the key to getting Jamon Green back, because if they need to put Dax Hill back at safety in a situation like that, things start getting out of hand. Putting Jamon Green, Vincent Gray, and DJ Turner in there maybe.
Yeah, and a guy like Moore and Moat, those guys, Moore and Moat, allow you to move Dax Hill around a little bit. So, the more flexibility you can get in the back end, the better. JJ McCarthy was good. His big time, ran for a touchdown, threw a touchdown. The receivers made some plays, which was really nice to see. Some diving catches, some one-handed grabs. That's good to see. That hasn't been happening all the time this year, so it's good to see them kind of peaking right now. Defense was good when the starters were in. The backups were giving up some stuff, but whatever.
Hey, TJ got the first sack of the game. I was really surprised to see him. Oh, did he?
Yeah,
okay,
but TJ guy didn't have the sack. He almost should have 2. Really missed one of them too.
That was the first game I think TJ got played all year.
Yeah. So cool. The other take, kind of feels really cool to.
It's the future. He's a freshman.
Yeah, really cool to see all the guys play. That doesn't always happen on the road. That doesn't happen this late in the year. So it's good to kind of get all the starters out of there for health reasons and just in general get everybody as much experience as possible. So special teams was incredible. Torrey with block punt, like you mentioned.
AJ Henning some nice returns.
AJ Henning a touchdown on the throwback.
That was really cool. Michael Barrett, wasn't he a quarterback in high school?
So
yeah. So. And he's been getting more playing time on defense too.
So I think they're peaking.
Obviously, at the same time, Ohio State has been.
Right. I mean, that might not mean anything. They've been peaking going into this game before. But I think they got better after the Michigan State game, which hasn't always been the case. I think they have a chance. I'm not going to
I mean, that's still the line's like 8 or 8.5, something like that. Which in all actuality, if it wasn't Michigan State or Michigan Ohio State, it would probably be more if it's just you look at these two teams on paper. But Michigan has more answers from a pass defense standpoint than Michigan State does. And I just think they've just gotten better since that Michigan State game. They didn't. Here's the thing: they lost to Michigan State by 4, and in all actuality, I just don't think they played very well. If you look at it, they just made a ton of mistakes and had problems, and they just didn't play very well. And that was their one kind of egg of a game.
Well, and they Chris Ball's talked about it too, even though he didn't really cover Michigan State. They gave up on the run too early. You have a potential Heisman running back and didn't touch the ball very much in that game.
Yep.
And obviously, you get down that fast, maybe you do have to adjust. But I think even despite that, when you still have a running back that can put you back into a game in the second quarter, still.
Yeah, I mean they just made mistakes. They were completely outmanned in that game. I mean they have literally, even going into the game, and it's probably by far now literally the worst pass defense in the country. Like 130 out of 130, they are bottom. They are the last, and it got worse last week. Ohio State could have scored 100 points.
No, McNamara almost threw 400 on him.
Yeah. I mean, Ohio State, Aiden O'Connell threw for like 550 on him for Purdue. Ohio State could have scored 100 points last week if they wanted to. If they really just
their corners are just so bad. They have decent, like Xavier Henderson's pretty okay. Angelo Gross is a great tackler, but he's not a great coverage guy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they're just bad in the back end. So I wouldn't necessarily look at that if I'm a Michigan fan and go, okay, look what they did at Michigan State and they beat us. I mean, it was just a terrible matchup for Michigan State. Michigan's got more answers in the back end.
Vincent Gray's not what. I'd be really nervous if it was Vincent Gray 2 years ago.
Yep. And they don't play. I mean, they're not playing press man all the time. They're going to make Ohio State go on the field, in my opinion. Now, still not a good matchup. It's probably not a good matchup for anybody. Ohio State's offense is borderline.
Georgia, maybe.
Ohio State's offense is, on all like advanced stats and everything, is pushing towards the LSU offense with Joe Burrow. Like they are almost at that level per all the advanced stats. And that was considered the best offense of all time. So that's where they're at right now. So I don't know. I take that how you want to take it.
And we just looked at it. They had the receivers in the Big Ten are 2nd, 4th, and 6th.
Yep.
Which you have 3 receivers in the.
They're going to have 3 receivers probably by the end of the year. All 3 are going to be over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, and their third guy is actually first in the team in yardage.
Yeah.
So it's something to be worried about. But yeah, I don't think we shouldn't expect the same kind of blowout. I think Michigan will be able to keep themselves in the game. And almost every game they played Ohio State, it seems like they've always kind of started out in the game, and then they just fall apart in the end. They're worn out or something.
Yeah, I feel good about the game for the fact that it's at home. I just think the team is just different this year. I just don't think they're gonna. We talked about with Dallas a little bit. They're not gonna really fold. Michigan State folded in that game. I mean, they were done. It was 21-0, and they're like, we're done. We'll give up now. Yeah, we're just gonna pull every. I mean, it was just they were done. And that's tough to see if you're Michigan State, but I just don't think Michigan's going to do that. But they are severely outgunned because this isn't, Harbaugh's uber talented team either. I mean, 2016 was his most talented team by far. And that defense had like 12 or I think it was 14 guys, 15 guys in the NFL that were playing consistently on that defense right now. So, they don't have that right now. They've got some guys. I mean, they have 2 DNs. They got Dax Hill. Those are arguably 3 potential first rounders.
Josh Ross is probably a 5th or 6th.
Yeah,
rounder.
2 for sure. I mean, I think Ojabo and Hutchinson both go in the first round.
Okay, he's a 4th or 5th rounder.
Yeah, so I think there's guys out there that'll play, but I mean, Ohio State's got first rounders, 3 first round receivers.
The running back, top 2 or 3 rounds.
I mean,
Stroud will eventually be probably a first round.
Yeah, and Travion Henderson's a freshman. He's second in the Big Ten rushing.
He is.
So, yeah. He only has 150 carries,
averaging 7.3 yards pop. So yeah,
they're loaded. Now, I think Michigan's going to be able to score some points as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot. So in order to stay with them, you just can't do what Michigan State did. You can't come out of the gates slow. You can't just feel your way into the game. They're not going to give you a chance to do that. and you cannot. You can't make mistakes. You can't turn the ball over. The game was
Dump
over.
penalties.
The game was over for Michigan State when somehow they got that one ruled incomplete that should have been a fumble by Jaden Reed.
Oh yeah.
And then they kicked the field goal after that. And I'm going, you can't kick a field goal. You can't kick field goals against this team. You can't. You literally cannot. Like, obviously it's 4th and 10. They probably had to, but you can't kick field goal.
And
you just can't.
And that's what worries me with and Isaiah. He pointed it out in his preview. He's like, he's got Jake Moody kicking the ball like 4 field goals. You can't if Michigan kicks 4 field goals, they're definitely not winning this game. If they kick 2, that is the max that Jake Moody should be able to kick.
Yeah, they better be deep ones, like 50
like
plus
40, 50
yarders.
yarders.
Yeah, and then if he makes those, sweet. That's you're stealing points at that point. But if you get down,
If you're getting sub
inside
40,
inside the 40, you just need to go score touchdowns. And they've been a lot better in the red zone recently. The one time they got stopped in the red zone this past game was some penalties hurt them, but they had some good opportunities in the red zone. They ran it in a few times. The first drive that they scored, nice play action to Schoonmaker. So they've done better in the red zone lately, but man, if they kick field goals, it's the same thing when they played Alabama and Mac Jones a few years ago in the bowl game. They were winning at halftime. They're winning in the 3rd quarter of that game.
with field goals.
With field goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, man, if they scored a couple of touchdowns out of those, turn 2 of those into touchdowns, because I think Nordine hit 5 field goals that game.
Yeah.
And if you turn 2 or 3 of those into touchdowns, Michigan probably wins that game, right? So they had every right to be in that game. They had every right in that. And Alabama that was when they had their trio of nuts receivers with Henry Ruggs. Waddle didn't play. Waddle. Yeah, it was. No, they had Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, and Henry Ruggs, and then they had Waddle as a 4th. So
the other thing to look at this is Michigan has not been down by 2 scores yet in this season. So that cannot happen against Ohio State. They have to pretty much stay
within a score.
10 point. They can probably just survive in a 10-point difference, but you start getting more than that, it's a little nerve-wracking. The difference here, I think, with like the 2016 team, and no knock on Don Brown, but I've done a lot of knocking on Don Brown, is we have a defensive coordinator that will adjust at halftime, and I think that was a big part of Ohio State adjusted at halftime when we were stopping the pass game and that early on, and they started running the crossing routes. Don Brown on a crossing route. I was like, what's going on? I've never seen this before. Yeah. So we hope that Mike McDonald can take care of that.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a lot of answers in the back end. It's whether or not they execute, and whether or not it matters. Because eventually, you execute. You're going to make most of the plays, but at some point, those receivers are going to get you through some stuff. So it's just kind of one of those things where, you're going to give up some points. You just got to kind of mitigate what you can. What Penn State did.
Control the clock, maybe slow the game down sometimes.
I'm sure they're going to try to shorten the clock, shorten the game as much as they can. What Penn State did really well is they just kind of held them to field goals in the red zone, when the field got tighter. And I think that's kind of the NFL way. That's kind of because NFL defenses, they give up yards to most everybody unless you're playing the Lions. So you give up yards. But the good defenses, the classic bend but not break defenses in the NFL, they hold teams to field goals or force turnovers, those type of things. And Michigan's bend but not break most of the year, kind of evolving to more of an NFL style defense. But I just think if they can do that, they're going to be right there in the game. If they give up big play after big play, which is quite possible, I don't really see how they're going to keep up. So
Jim Harbaugh has to be more aggressive in this game. Like you said, we talked about it. No settling for ridiculous short field goals or anything like that. The other thing is we can't look at the Oregon-Ohio State game as a blueprint because Ohio State was a completely different team that early in the year. They win that game now against Oregon.
Yeah, I agree.
And the other things to look at here is the way that Michigan can win is the D-line needs to put pressure on Stroud. The edge rushers on Michigan are amazing, and there's finally 2 of them rather than just one for teams to pick on. They need to make Stroud make quick decisions, not get through his progressions. And if Michigan can get pressure without blitzing, they'll be able to contain the big play capacity that Ohio State has.
My worry there is that Ohio State is just – I think they're going to mitigate the defensive ends by just throwing quick passes.
Screens, yes. Maybe play press coverage and hope your safety's got over top.
Yeah, but if you play in press, that's a recipe for a disaster against those receivers. So it's kind of a.
You have to have someone come. Maybe Michael Barrett plays a lot of this game underneath.
It's possible. Yeah, it's got to be careful. You got to just mix it up. So I don't really see the defensive ends really running rampant like they did against Penn State, or Ohio State isn't going to allow that by their play calling. I actually think Ohio State is going to try to establish the run.
And yeah, do what Kenneth Walker did to Michigan. If they can get
if I were them, I would run the crap out of the ball.
Yeah.
Not saying they're going to give up them. I mean, they're going to throw the ball. That's what they do, but they're going to run the ball. I think that's what I'm more worried about, honestly, because I think we'll have a plan for the receivers and they'll probably, get us on some things. But I'm more worried about stopping the run than anything else, because I think everybody's going to be thinking about the receivers all the time, those three guys. And I think Travion Henderson kind of goes unnoticed sometimes, and he's explosive. So I don't know. That's my concern.
Yeah. You can't. They can't get overzealous. Sometimes the edge rushers are going to have to guess if it's going to be a pass or a run and contain instead of, just cutting in and then leaving that bounce out for Kenneth Walker like Travion Henderson. So. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I actually think Henderson going to have 3 touchdown runs, and I think Stroud's going to have 2 touchdown passes, and I think maybe 1 or 2 field goals. So I think we're looking at 41 for Ohio State, and I'm going to give Michigan. I hope it's not 1 or 2 field goals. So I'm going to say 2 field goals, and see, it sounds bad to say this, but like 41-20. This game could barely be 41, maybe it's 41-27. And I think that's what I'm going to go with.
If the game stays in the 30s,
even the high 30s, Michigan has a good chance. So if it's 35, 31, something like that, or the Michigan's got a good chance. If you start pushing it into the 40s, I don't know if Michigan's going to score 40 on the. Ohio State's defense is nothing special. I mean, they've got good athletes. They're good, but Michigan could score on them. It's just. I just don't think the way Michigan plays the game of football right now, and it's fine. I'm happy they play the way they play just because that's what suits them. I just don't see that working to score, scoring the 40s, unless they just are getting big play after big play. And they're going to need the way you win this game if you're Michigan is you need some out of body experience level of play from somebody, and whether it's Hassan Haskins going like. Tim Biakabatuka level on Ohio State, or Cade McNamara just going nuts, channeling Tom Brady, just like stuff like that. That's what you need. And it could happen, but if you think about it, in the past when Michigan has beaten Ohio State when they probably weren't supposed to, that is what's happened. Biakabatuka running for 313, just running over them. Woodson and Howard playing out of their minds in this game. Your best players have to play crazy good in this game, because if your best players don't show up, then you don't.
Yeah, this is where you need Ojabo and Hutchinson more than ever. And Dak still's got to be all over the field too.
You got to have those guys play
Josh Ross
to the best of to the top level, and maybe beyond, better than they ever have. If you do that, you got a chance.
This game has to be perfect. Players. Yeah, this game has to be perfect. There's not the talent. Talent does not match. Yeah, maybe Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia. Georgia, Alabama has probably got more talent.
Cincinnati.
No.
I wasn't even gonna say.
There's 2 or 3 teams I could probably keep, talent-wise on paper, match up well. Michigan's not as far behind as people sometimes say they are, but they're at that other tier. They're at team 5 through 10.
The other problem is this is probably not going to be able to be a Maze out. Not everyone owns a Maze coat.
Well, they're giving them pom-poms.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then just put the shirt over the coat. That's what everybody's saying on Twitter.
That's what I saw. Put
it over the coat.
Don't think so hard.
Think on.
Smarter, not harder. Come
exactly. The shirt is stretchy.
People are about to drop $250 on a yellow coat. Come on.
Fine. They've dropped $250 on the ticket to the game.
That's touche. Nosebleeds. Yeah. So the other thing is, last thing I want to cover is, Ohio State has holes on defense, and they mainly the pass defense. So McNamara is going to have to be on point. Cornelius Johnson can't have a drop that he's had one drop in the last couple of games. I wonder if this game would be different with Ronnie Bell. I don't know.
I'd feel better about it for sure, but
I don't think that's the one play that's going to make all the difference.
No, he's just not that kind of guy. I actually feel
If it was like Chris Olave or
yeah,
something.
I'm relatively high on the receivers actually right now because I think they're a good group. Like, Andre Anthony's coming along.
Mike Sanders still picking it up for snaps. Roman
Wilson's
AJ Henning, yeah.
Starting to make plays. Roman Wilson should have had a touchdown last week. It was a nice catch.
Starting
to make plays. AJ Henning's, I mean, he hasn't been as involved in offense, but he still can fly. They have some pieces there.
Donovan Edwards apparently now.
Donovan Edwards is a weapon now. I guess the wild card is, does Blake Corum play? And if he does, how healthy is he? Is he even worth it? Is he going to help the team or hurt the team? I feel like if he plays, he's going to help the team for sure. Because then you can be creative with what you do with Edwards, and Corum and Haskins. So,
he did an interview with Michael Strahan today. Yeah, about his donation with his name, image, likeness thing, and it sounded like at the very end, she's like, you're playing Ohio State. He made it, like Corum had that like vibe, like, yeah, I'm playing. I will, and maybe he just knows that he's suiting up, and we'll see again in the pregame how he's feeling. But that at least looks like Corum thinks he's playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably could have played last week. It's just, if it was if Edwards was struggling or Haskins got hurt or something, I think they probably would have played him. I mean, there's no reason for him to travel if not. But yeah,
he had family in Maryland.
He's from that area.
Yeah,
but still, I mean, you're wasting a roster spot at that point.
With the 100 guys that they travel.
But
who's sitting? Christian Boyden? Christian Bartholomew has to stay home.
I think he did stay home.
I didn't see him suited up, no.
But I don't know. I think if you have that three-headed trio at running back, that those are three weapons in different ways. So I don't know. The X factor in the game is still JJ McCarthy, though. I mean, I know we kind of put to rest the wanting him to play the whole time, and I do put that to rest. But he's a guy.
I think he has to see the field.
He's got to play. He's got to play. He's a guy that exactly, and the way he can throw the ball too change. I mean, he just does things different than McNamara. Now, obviously, you got to be careful. You got to be really careful. And if McNamara is balling, you don't want to put McCarthy in my opinion. But it was perfect last week. They did it perfectly. McNamara was struggling because he kept throwing the ball against his own team's helmet.
He did that like 2 games.
Yeah, then he pulled him and gave JJ a drive. He went down, had a nice run.
He finished 5 for 5 with a touchdown pass.
Yeah, he almost threw a ball through Cornelius Johnson's face.
Yeah, and it was an impressive touchdown catch because I think that would have overthrown if Mike Sanders.
Yeah, but still not a bad throw. I mean, had a nice run on that drive. So they did it perfect last week. I think he's got to play more. It's got to be Michigan State level game, snaps or more.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing to do with Cade being bad. I just think he just brings.
You got to bring that element.
Table. Yeah.
And you're going to have to put in a little bit of magic or whatever in this.
Yeah, you need something like that, I think. So
big plays.
And you're at home. You should feel pretty good about him at home. It's not like it's going to be a hostile environment, when they're on the field. So,
I hope Michigan stay loud that game. Fans got to keep them in it, even if they get down early. Fans got to stay positive for a while.
Yep, I think
until it's 21-0, you stay positive.
Yeah, I don't know. My worry, like I was talking about this with my dad yesterday. I could totally see them just getting boat raced out of the building. But if they can hold off getting killed right away and get themselves into the game where they feel comfortable with what they're playing against, I think they got a chance if it's not too far gone already.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't come out flat. Got to come out making plays. Got to come out. I mean, they didn't come out flat against Michigan State. They came out like gangbusters and were killing them until they fell short. That's how they got to play out the gate and then finish. So, not going to predict a win. I would say the line is probably about where I'd put it. I'd probably say a 10-point loss, 8.
At this point, I think you're just taking Ohio State.
Yeah. Ohio State's covering.
They covered it.
I would think so.
I think they win by I think 13 in my prediction. But
so
I think 13 is modest. I'm going to be not hanging my head too hard if they only at 13.
Right. And then if you look at it, you know what? We never thought Michigan would be here at the beginning of the year. I think I was pretty high on them actually between us, but
we fall down to third in the East though. If we lose this game, Michigan State beats Penn State.
True. So
that's the other thing to look at. But
we're probably going to go to the Rose Bowl even if we lose.
Yeah, because the playoff still wants to see us in that.
So go to the Rose Bowl. Rose Bowl would be cool. We haven't been there in a while. So
other than if we have to play Notre Dame,
no, we'd play the Pac-12 team. So
it'd probably be
Oregon.
Oregon. Yeah, probably Oregon. That'd be fun.
I mean, yeah, Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah. I mean, he might just sit out the game too.
He probably would too.
Yeah.
That's a for sure
That'd
thing.
be cool. And they're hurt too, and they've been bad lately. So, but yeah, I think it. Yeah, I'm not going to predict a win, but I do give them a chance. They definitely have a chance. It'd be cool. It'd be really cool. It's got to. The luck has to change at some point, right?